Okay, in this video, we're going to talk about writing equations of functions from tables. So we're going to, once again, still do this in slope-intercept form. Okay, so remember that slope-intercept form is y equals mx plus b, where m is your slope and b is your y-intercept. Okay, you need to have that memorized. Okay, so similar to when we were checking to see if things represented functions, I'm going to kind of see if there's a pattern going on, because usually it's a lot easier to do if there's a pattern. So in the first table, from 0 to 1 goes up 1, 1 to 2 is also up 1, 2 to 3 up 1, 3 to 4 up 1. So all my x's in my table happen to be going up by 1. My y's, 5 plus 6 would be 11. 11 plus 6 is 17. 17 plus 6 is 23. And 23 plus 6 is 29. So I can see my pattern. My x's are going up by 1s. My y's are going up by 6s. So because slope is change in y's, I'm going to do this. Remember, slope is change in y's over change in x's. Oops, not writing. Come on, pen. Change in x's. Okay. Change in the y's is my bottom is 6. So it'd be 6. The change in the x's is 1 each time. So my slope is 6 over 1, or just 6. Okay. And now we need the y-intercept. Well, we've been saying that y-intercepts happen when the x is 0. And what's nice about my table is I have an ordered pair where my x is 0. So this 5 is representing my y-intercept. So now I have the information I need. Okay, my m was 6, my b is 5. So my equation is going to be y equals 6x plus 5. Okay, let's go to the next table. I'm doing the one on the left side. Use a vertical table, but we're still going to do the same thing. So from 1 to 2, it's going up 1, 2 to 3 up 1, 3 to 4 up 1. -3 to -8. Okay, our numbers are decreasing here, and this one went down by 5. -8 to -13 also down by 5. -13 to -18 also down by 5. So my slope, okay, is going to be my change in my y's, which is -5, over my change in x's, which is +1, and -5 over 1 is really just -5. Now for my y-intercept, unfortunately, I don't have a 0 for any of my x's. But what I can do is I can kind of pretend, I'm going to kind of squeeze it in here. If my table starts at 1, what if I added an extra row in here and put in that x of 0? Well, since I know that at 1 it was -3, and we know whatever was above this, it had to go down 5 to get from that to -3, we can kind of use some reasoning here and figure out what that number is. Okay, so we're like, what minus 5 would be -3? And that would be a +2. Okay, so we could kind of make an extra row of our table and kind of extend the pattern so that we can have our x of 0 and figure out what our y-intercept is going to be. So our b would be 2 here. So then our final equation would be y equals -5x plus 2. Okay, now if you weren't sure what we just did, okay, you're like, I don't know where the 0, 2 came from, not the end of the world, okay, because in the next table, okay, I'm going to show you what to do for that, and you can always just do that for that situation as well if you don't have that 0. Okay, but I think some of you will be able to see, what's that pattern? Can I figure out using that pattern what my y will be when my x is 0? Okay, but my next table, so -4 to 1 is going up 5. 1 to 6 is up 5, and 6 to 11 is also up 5. Oh boy, so we got -21 to -1. That's a big jump. So our numbers are increasing, and it looks like they increased by 20. So then -1 plus 20 is 19, and 19 plus 20 is 39. Okay, so for slope, change in y's over change in x's, we get 20 over 5, which means our slope is 4. Okay, remember we're just taking the change in the y's on the right-hand side because that's our y column over the change in x's, which was our change in the left-hand side. Okay, but now we need the b. Okay, and because my numbers are jumping so much, it's harder to figure out, like, I know the 0 would be somewhere over here, okay, but I don't really know. Okay, it's not going in a row. I can't exactly figure out what that's going to be. Okay, so this is where we're going to use the skill we did in that last video, which was find a missing b. So I'm going to write down, because I'm a visual person, I like my y equals mx plus b. And we're going to plug in our slope of 4. And we're going to plug in an x and a y. Now you have 4 options here. You don't need to use all 4, just choose one of them. So you can use either the first ordered pair or the second ordered pair or the third or the fourth, it doesn't matter. But you're plugging in the x and the y from the same row, okay, because that's the ordered pair. I'm going to choose this second one here, okay, because my numbers are a little bit smaller than my other ones. So here, my y is -1, so I'm going to say -1 equals, we already said our slope is 4, and our x is 1, and I'm going to show that I'm multiplying with either the parentheses or the dot, and we still have our plus b, and now I'm going to solve for b. So we have -1 equals 4 plus b. I'm going to subtract my 4 to move it to the other side, and we get b equals -5. So now final answer, I know my m was 4, my b is -5. My final equation is going to be y equals, because we always go back to y equals in the end, 4x minus 5. Okay, and my last one. From 7 to 5, it goes down 2. Oh boy, and then 5 to -1, that would be going down 6. So the pattern isn't even continuous here. Let's see what happens with our y's. Our y goes from 2 to 3, which is up 1, and 3 to 6 is up 3. Okay, so let's see here. When we have our y's over our x, or sorry, our change in y's over our change in x's, okay, we have 1 over -2 and 3 over -6, which does also simplify to -1 over 2. So even though our numbers, our pattern is not the same number each time, we do have that constant rate of change. The change in y's over the change in x's is still -1/2, and that is our slope. Okay. Worst case scenario, if you're stuck, remember that you can take like 7, 2 as an ordered pair, and then 5, 3 as an ordered pair, and you can find your slope by subtracting your y's and subtracting your x's and doing it that way. And it will still end up as -1/2. Okay, so it is possible to just find it using this pattern on the table, but you could also just choose your 2 ordered pairs and find your slope that other way as well. Okay, definitely can't find the 0 here. It's going to be somewhere there, but it's not helpful. So I'm just going to plug things into y equals mx plus b again. So I don't know, I'll just use the first one. We'll do 7, 2. So the y for that is 2. The slope is -1/2. The x is 7. I have plus b. And I have 2 equals, I'm going to do decimal form. So I know half of 7 is 3.5. So that would be a -3.5 there. Okay, if we left it as fractions, it would be -7/2. Okay, but b's are allowed to be decimals if we want. And then we're going to add the 3.5 to both sides. I should probably have lined it up a little bit better. So plus 3.5, there we go. So 2 plus 3.5 is 5.5 equals b. I got to squeeze my equation in somewhere here. So in the end, our equation is y equals, our slope was -1/2. So -1/2 x plus 5.5, or if you had in fraction form, that would be 11 halves.